I thought that, I'm going to give you a brief overview of the undergrad program. And we have a bunch of program directors here to answer questions, and we'll have question and answer at the end. So I'm going to get started because some of us have to leave to teach. You guys heard about some amazing opportunities that we have at Erasmus to do research. And in fact, those opportunities are one of the main reasons I encourage undergraduates to consider UM for their degrees. You have the opportunity to get involved in research from your freshman year. I definitely advise students to sort of get their feet wet first and make sure that you can handle coursework and just get used to being in college. But after that, as you saw, there's a lot of different opportunities for our students, and you only saw a handful of them. We have 70 tenured or tenure track faculty with all sorts of different research directions that they're doing. So you saw a small number of what our faculty and students do, but there's a lot more going on as well. And look at our websites. You'll to see what's going on. So as Dean Avasar said, we have about 400 undergraduate students who, and that means that every year we have about 100 incoming students. And that's sort of that's a really nice number to think about. It's you within your incoming class. You're at least familiar with everybody in that class. So you get to know everybody in your class, and that's a built-in group of people that you're likely to be friends with, but also to study with and have as a support group for the experiences that you're having. And that's in the wider context of the rest of UM. So 10,000 plus students at UM, you can sort of find your comfort zone between a small number of students and then the wider UM community. Let's see. Okay, so you saw Emma on Virginia Key at the Marine campus, and that campus is 8 miles away. And we have a shuttle that runs between the Coral Gables campus and the Marine campus. Because that's a small distance, but depending on traffic, that can take more or less time. And so for that reason, most of our courses, especially our introductory courses, are taught on the Coral Gables campus. We have office buildings and offices for our faculty and administrative staff on the Coral Gables campus, and that's where you would come for advising, for help with your courses. You are assigned a faculty advisor the summer before you get here, and he or she is available to mentor you both in the for the course direction that you want to take, but also thinking about career, thinking about different opportunities. That's one of the things that you're here to do in school is figure out what do you want to do when you graduate. And that's a question that I'll ask all of my advisees on day one. What do you want to do, and how are you going to get there? And that's what we're here to help you figure out. Okay, so the undergraduate offices, and we have some teaching labs on the Coral Gables campus. We also have a satellite receiving facility south of the Coral Gables campus. We get a lot of data from there, but you won't be visiting there. And then we have a few field stations, one on Broad Key, and that's about 45-minute boat ride south of Virginia Key. And then we have a program in the Galapagos. So Emma showed you around the Virginia Key campus, and this is looking at it sort of from on shore. You see the Walton Smith in the front, the research vessel that you saw from over to the left here is the restaurant where Emma ended up. You're looking at downtown Miami in the background. And then these are all research and administrative buildings. So one thing about the Walton Smith is that we give all of our incoming students the opportunity to go out on a cruise on the Walton Smith. And that's to give you an idea of what it's like to do sort of blue water oceanography. We have a new program in oceanography, and of course, you know, high schools in the States at least don't teach anything to do with oceanography. And so that's to give you the flavor of what it means to be an oceanographer, and hopefully entice some of you to consider that as a major. And Mike Brown, our program director, will be talking about that briefly as well. Okay, so this is looking at the Marine campus from across the street. So you can see the Walton Smith here at the dock, and that's to give you an idea of scale. And you're looking south down towards Coral Gables. And I want to show you the resources here across the street. These are our aquaculture facilities. We have a number of undergraduates who are interested in aquaculture, and we have extensive facilities. And a lot of our students are involved in aquaculture. But in addition, NOAA is right across the street from the Marine School, from Rasmus. And as well as the 70 or so faculty at Rasmus who are doing research, you know, there are about 200 to 250 NOAA scientists doing research. So between the Rosenstiel School and between NOAA, there's ample opportunity for students to be involved in research. All right, so these are our undergraduate programs. We have degrees in marine science, oceanography, marine biology and ecology, geology, meteorology, and marine affairs. So all of these provide excellent opportunities to participate in faculty-led research, either in the field or in the laboratory. We get very good students, and we encourage them to apply for different awards, national scholarships and awards. You can get all of this information on the website, and you may have heard some of this from sort of general admissions events that you may have attended. But in terms of general placement, when you come to the school, you're placed in your math course by your SAT, ACT, or AP and IB scores. So these are very good at putting you in the right math level. If you're another option is an online test that you take, the ALEX test, and that also can be used to place you in the correct math level. Excuse me. These, the scores that you need and the math level that you're placed in is on our website. Similarly for English, required English courses, you're placed into these by your scores. Rather than UM's, the way that has you diversify outside of your major is to take cognates, what are known as cognates. And these are 3 courses that are meant to build on each other. And since all of the Marine School degrees are STEM degrees, then Marine students have to take an Arts and Humanities cognate and a People and Society cognate. And again, these are just 3 courses that sort of build on each other. And there are, you know, from a list of 20 or so courses, you would choose 3 for a particular cognate. And there are hundreds of cognates to choose from. So it's actually a pretty fun way to get outside of all the sciences. Of course, if you do a minor or an additional major, say in an arts and a humanity or a people and society degree, then that would take the place of the cognate. And again, information on cognates can be found on the websites. So in terms of the Bachelor of Science degrees that we have in the marine sciences, The curriculum involves introductory level courses in the basic sciences, so biology, chemistry, math, physics, marine science, geology. Then, depending on the major that you're going into, you would take different core and elective courses. Because all of these, because these introductory courses are required for all of our marine science degrees, that makes it very easy for you to switch majors. If you come in, say, studying marine biology, but let's say you take a geology course and say, wow, this is actually what I really want to do, or an oceanography course, which you've never had before, then it's no problem to switch your major. If you come in and you and decide this marine science degree is a little bit too much science for me, it's also not a problem to switch out of the marine school and into, say, arts and sciences. So you shouldn't worry too much about oh, I've declared this major, I have to or I'm stuck here forever. That's not at all the case, and we are here to help you figure out, what works best for you. Okay, and again, all of the different majors, they will provide a rigorous preparation for graduate school. The pre-health, the pre-med, the pre-vet, dental type schools, and as well as technical jobs in government and business and research jobs. So now I'm going to hand this over to Dr. Igor Ganikovic, who is the program director for the Marine Science Double Major Program. That encompasses a lot of different majors, and he can tell you a little bit about them.
Okay, good morning. So just a quick explanation. So the Marine Science Clarification Marine Science Program is a double major program. That means you will graduate with 2 degrees. The first one is 2 majors in marine science, and the second one from one of the programs in this list. The most popular double major program by far is marine science biology, but we also offer double major programs in marine science chemistry, marine science computer science, marine science geological science, meteorology, physics, applied math, microbiology. So we have several options. And like Dr. Alexiak explained before, it's in our program, it's relatively easy. It's actually very easy to switch from one major to another if you decide that you prefer, if you change your mind essentially along the way. So the advantages of the double major program is that you graduate with 2 majors. And the way we arrange it is extremely convenient for students, for you guys. So basically you deal with one department. Your home department is marine science. You have one advisor who will provide advice and guidance, right? And we work with other departments like biology, chemistry, computer science, math, physics, to make sure that you take courses that meet requirements for both majors. And on top of it, we made this process very efficient. We made specific arrangements with these departments. And for example, so the whole process is most efficient. For example, several courses will double count. That means, for example, you take a course, advanced course in biology, and that will meet the requirements of both majors, the marine science and biology major. So this way, you can graduate with 2 majors, 2 degrees, and with doing less than let's say 120 to 125 credits. So doing 2 majors does not mean you have to take 140 credits. It can be done with 120 credits. This is because we made specific arrangements and carefully designed your plan of studies so you meet the requirements in both majors. Right, that's pretty much it. You have a whole selection of different disciplines, and yeah, and it's a great program. So if you have any questions, I'm available to answer your questions. Let me know.
Okay, so we'll open it up for questions at the end as well. And now, Dr. Brown, if he's the program director for the oceanography program, so if he could say a few words.
Yeah, hi, welcome everybody. I think it's appropriate that Igor, Professor Kamenkovic spoke first. The degree programs that he described are all double major programs. So what distinguishes the oceanography degree program from the traditional marine science double major programs is that the oceanography degree does not require a second major. Otherwise, it's very similar. So, you know, in both cases, you get, you know, a broad foundation in math, physics, chemistry, biology. What's different about the oceanography degree program is because you're not required to have that second major, there's a little more flexibility involved. So I think conceptually, the important difference is that with the oceanography major, you have a little bit more flexibility in the advanced courses that you take. There's actually an extra a block of courses that you'll see described on the relevant web pages that are identified as something like supplemental basic science courses. So in addition to taking, you know, all the basic, the introductory courses in marine science, you know, in chemistry, biology, physics, and calculus, we want you to specialize a little bit more, but the specialization is a little bit less one-sided than if you were, say, a marine science chemistry double major. In that case, most of the extra science courses that you'd be taking would be used to fulfill the requirements for the chemistry degree. Whereas in the oceanography degree, say if you're interested in geochemistry, you know, you take some extra chemistry courses, maybe some extra geology courses, but, you know, probably not enough of either to fulfill the requirements for a degree in chemistry or geology. Or alternatively, you know, if you were a student, maybe you're interested in physics, you know, large scale numerical modeling of ocean circulation. You might want to take some extra courses in physics. You might want to take some extra courses in math, or maybe some extra courses in computer science. So, you know, the rationale here is that with the oceanography degree, there's a little bit, the structure of the program is a little bit less rigid without the extra requirements that you have to fulfill to get that second major. But, you know, you're still building on the same foundation that that students in the double major programs obtain during their first few years. And I want to emphasize, you know, a point that Professor Alexiak made, you know, in her introductory remarks, namely that it's very common for students to change their majors. There's not huge differences between the different degree programs that we're discussing here. So we encourage you to come in your first year, especially, to take some courses in subjects that you may not have been exposed to previously. Look around, just find something that excites you, and, you know, we're eager to, you know, help you to, you know, obtain whatever career objectives you have. So, you know, we're here to help. You shouldn't be worried, as Professor Alexiak noted, about, getting locked in, because it's really easy to switch from one major to another. So, I guess having said that, I should have mentioned earlier that, the oceanography degree program actually covers a lot of ground. It's physics, chemistry, and, some aspects of biology. Of course, there are other biology programs. You're going to hear about one now, but, we cover, as I said, both physical, chemical, and biological oceanography. So, there's a lot of room for flexibility within those broad bounds. So I think maybe that's enough for now. I'd be happy to answer questions later, and maybe we're going to move on to marine biology and ecology now. Is that the intent?
Can I make a quick comment that
Sure.
may be important? Please do not be alarmed by the photograph at the bottom. We do not expose, we will not expose you to this kind of conditions. All programs are actually very pleasant, and you will have a lot of fun.
Okay, yes, this is not the Walton Smith experience that we provide for our students. So, all right, as Mike said, I'll talk a little bit about marine biology and ecology. That's my department. As Mike said, this degree is sort of the intent of this degree is to give you depth in marine biology. So it's really for students who know that this is what they're interested in. And one of the things that it emphasizes is sort of upper level research intensive courses. So the idea that, you to be a scientist, you should be doing science. That you shouldn't be necessarily you shouldn't be just sitting in a classroom listening to someone talk about science that's been done already. What we want you to do is experience doing science, and that is what this degree is tailored to provide. Okay, let me see. Next is the meteorology degree. And so Dr. Hines, I think, will talk about this. And
okay.
Good.
So the meteorology degree has a number of different flavors. You can do meteorology as a single major. It's a math intensive course, so you end up with a minor in mathematics. And if you look at MET programs, the classes that you have to take are pretty similar no matter where you go, because you have to follow the curriculum of the American Meteorological Society. And that's basically actually based on a federal requirement. The actual feds, there's a law that basically dictates what you're required to have passed in order to get into the National Weather Service. So pretty much everybody has the same type of program, but there are different flavors. So certainly here in Miami, it's tropical meteorology. So for example, in your freshman year, you'll do weather forecasting, but then in your sophomore year, you'll do tropical weather forecasting with one of our faculty who's an expert in that. But we really encourage our students to do double majors, and what you want to do really is going to depend on where you want to go with the degree. And it really splits into two. If you're interested in broadcast meteorology, so you actually want to get involved either being a weather person, actually, on TV doing the weather, or if you want to be involved in production, you would do the double major with communications. And that's an option really that very few other MET programs have. We have an excellent communications department. We actually have the software that almost every TV station uses, and we have adjunct faculty who are local broadcasters with NBC and CBS. And it's a great option for anybody who's interested in getting into broadcast meteorology. Typically, people who graduate from that program are immediately snapped up because they can go directly on the air. And if you do that option, what you'll typically spend most of your time involved with is UMTV. We have our own television station here, and the double majors in communications get involved with that. Now, if you want to do what I would call more academic meteorology, if you want to go to grad school, then two really excellent options are to do the double major with math or the double major with marine science. I would say that most other places offer the option of marine science math. We are the only meteorology department that offers the option of meteorology with the best marine science program in the country. So that really is a unique opportunity. But either met with math or met with marine science are both great double major options. And as I say, basically, you can always do the start off with the single major, and it may well be that you'll be happy to just stick with that. That would give you more options to do perhaps minors in climate science and policy or other things, depending on what you're interested in. But again, as has been emphasized, it's a very, very flexible program. It's possible to basically switch between these programs and the other programs that we've been talking about, it's a very good option, we believe. Okay, I think that's it. Margie, so I'm
okay. Sorry, I'm looking for my mute button. Well, but actually, I'll turn it to Dr. Klaus, who will talk about geology now.
Okay, thanks, Margie. So, yeah, so we have about 12 faculty at the Erasmus School that do research in geological sciences and mentor students. And within our program, we typically have about 40 undergraduate students at any one time. And those are divided up within a number of different degree options. About half of those are double majors, as Igor talked about in the marine science, geological sciences program. But in addition to the double major program, students can also pursue a single degree options. And those include the BS in geological sciences. And again, this is a single degree, typically for students that are interested in pursuing a more scientific avenue in the geological sciences. In addition to that, we also have a Bachelor of Arts option in geological sciences. And this is something that's attractive to students who maybe aren't necessarily interested in pursuing a scientific career, but are more interested in other aspects of the earth and environmental science. And these are typically students that will go on to pursue law degrees, or maybe pursue careers in education or outreach. And so we have a number of students that will pursue the BA degree in geological sciences. And then last, we have a 5-year Bachelor of Science, Master of Science degree in geological sciences. And the way this typically works is in the junior year, students will identify a research mentor and start working on a research project in some aspect of of geological sciences. And they'll start doing that research and finishing their undergraduate coursework while also starting to take courses towards the Master of Science in Geological Sciences. And so with an additional year beyond the 4-year undergraduate program, they can earn a Master of Sciences. So they'll complete both their Bachelor of Science and their Master of Sciences in 5 years. So regardless of the degree program, overall we put a strong emphasis on field training and getting students out into the environment and seeing the earth and the environment up close firsthand. And we do that in a number of ways. We do that locally here in South Florida, studying the local environments here and the deposits and the geology here. We also run training courses over spring break and over the summer. So we feel it's important for students to get out and see these environments and see the geology firsthand. In addition to emphasizing field training, as Dr. Alexiak said, we put a strong emphasis on students getting into the lab and doing research with our faculty here at Erasmus, as well as other faculty in the South Florida community, in particular NOAA and the U.S. Geological Survey are other areas where we've had students do research. So all in all, we feel like our program provides a rigorous training for careers in geological sciences. Our students go on commonly to graduate school to pursue more sort of rigorous training in geological sciences. We also have students who sort of go straight into careers in the environmental sciences, either working for environmental companies or governmental agencies. And then we also have a number of students that go on to sort of work in industry related to, petroleum exploration or mining and mineral exploration. And then a lot of our students sort of follow into careers in research, either in academia, governmental agencies, or pursue careers in education. So that's sort of a broad overview of our program. And, like I said, we have about 40 undergraduate students scattered across these various degree options. Very few of them actually come into as freshmen, sort of thinking that they're going to study geological sciences. So it's commonly in their freshman or even their sophomore year that sort of students will take a course in geology and they'll see the connections between marine sciences and geological sciences and decide that, this is something that they want to pursue. So if this happens to you, we're here to answer questions and help you sort of see how this might fit into your future. So.
Okay, thanks, Jim. Let me emphasize what Jim said, that this last point about what students do when they graduate. This is petroleum and mining industry. That's particular to geologists, but all of the other options are typically what our students go into. A lot of our students do go on to graduate school, but they also go into work for a company, work for a government agency. They might go into research, and that might be academic or government or private research. And as well, they go into outreach and education. So Professor Estevanes is here to talk about the Marine Affairs major.
Hi. Let me put my video. So welcome to Erasmus. And my name is Maria Estevanes, and I'm the director of the Marine Affairs program. Currently offer a BA in Marine Affairs, and the requirement for this is basically a major in Marine Affairs, which is typically a marine science program, and a minor in the social sciences of people and society. So majors in economics, geography, business, ecosystem, society. A lot of them are in teaching and learning. However, I like to emphasize to you that more than 50% of our students, and 75 undergraduate marine students from freshman to senior, actually do a double major. The curriculum for marine affairs is very flexible, allows you, rather than just do another minor, to also do another major in typical majors are economics, ecosystem science and policy, communication, and in education school, the teaching and learning. So students who are in our program I think a lot of people, a lot of incoming freshmen are not typically aware of a major in marine affairs. And so we have the opportunity to actually look around other majors and try some of our marine affairs or marine science courses. Then they typically come and try to transfer, talk to us first. And we have students who are interested in doing marine affairs. So what do most of our marine students, when they graduate, what do they usually pursue? Now, a third of our students are actually pursuing law degree. Some go to other professional degrees like business administration, master's in business administration. Others go to master's in professional science program, MS, or PhD program, but a lot of our students do enter the industry or other opportunities in regulatory and research industries here, mostly in Florida and in Washington, D.C. So I think the opportunity is there because especially we are here in Miami and we have a lot of graduates who are now employed in a number of regulatory agencies or research agencies, in the National Marine Fisheries, in the Department of Environmental Protection. And although we do not have a specific course in internship, a lot of the students, due to our contacts there, have been offered opportunities to intern within this organization. And I think it's a good opportunity for them to do it because it also helps you in deciding what your future tracks or path are going to be. Now, aside from the minor in economics or double major, we also offer with the BA in Marine Affairs a 5-year BA Master's in Professional Science program. So what it does, similar to what the geological science does, is that in your junior year, if you have the academic credentials, meaning to say the GPA and the number of credits, which is typically at least 60 credits, you can now do a conditional acceptance to our 5-year BA MPS program. What this conditional acceptance means is that you are able to register for at least 3 credits of graduate program, which will not be counted towards your undergraduate degree. And once you graduate and are accepted to the Master's in Professional Science program in Erasmus, you can then transfer at most 12 credits of these 3 credit units that you take every semester for 2 years. So a number of our students actually take advantage of this program because of the short time, and also they can already communicate with professors who could be in their committees, in their internship committees. They can start having contacts of where their internship is going to be, and it saves them a lot of time. So I guess that's most of the things I like to say, but at the same time, I'd like to assure you that our program has been here since the 1980s in Marine Affairs, and we consider it a very, very good and very successful programs. While you are a student at University of Miami, Erasmus, you'll be able to meet most or some of our graduates, and you can actually do some program shadowing, like a career shadowing with them. And a lot of them have basically given us an okay for students who like to intern or shadow their careers, so you can actually have some resources to help you decide on what your future paths are going to be. So I guess that's our program, and you still have in your first 2 years the same courses that most of the marine science students take. You will have your biology, chemistry, your math, your statistics, your introductory courses in marine science. But during your third year, then you basically branch out to your minor or double major in people and society. And now you also take courses in management, in environmental law, coastal law, climate law, ocean policy. So these are all types of courses that the Marine Affairs actually take during their upperclassmen years. And again, if you're not so sure, when you come to the university, your choice of major is not etched in stone. We have a program, our Marine Affairs, the Marine Science undergraduate program. It's very flexible. And you think after 1 year, I myself personally do not encourage you to change majors in your first semester, but it will be good for you to, work with different departments and see where there are things that's of interest to you, and definitely talk to our advisors about it. So thank you.
Okay, thanks, Maria. Okay, so let's see, study abroad. Okay, so a number of our students actually, many of our students study abroad, and there are a variety of different options for you to take. The U programs like U Galapagos, U Prague, U India, those are all programs run by and they are actually taught in the different countries by faculty. One of the nice things about these programs is that you know going into the program exactly what courses you will be taking and what they count for with respect to your major requirements. But that doesn't at all limit you to those U programs. You can apply to different universities across the world, and if you get in, then you actually would need to fill out course equivalency forms to make sure that the courses that you would be taking abroad would count toward courses. So it's a little bit more extra work on your end before you actually would go to the country, but it isn't difficult to do. If you don't want to go abroad for a full semester, there are trips that are offered over spring break. So these would be just week-long trips, as well as short trips offered over the summer. And those are typically, 3 weeks or so over the summer. And Jim Klaus alluded to a few of these. That geology has a bunch of trips that they go courses that they teach over spring semester, and they also have a long program in the summer for their majors. That's actually required for their majors. There was a question on chat asking particularly about programs abroad studying marine sciences in French programs abroad. We do not have arrangements with say French marine institutes or French-speaking marine institutes, but that does not mean that you can't seek them out yourself. One of our most popular programs is taught in Galapagos. It's a U Galapagos program, and it's offered both in the fall and the spring on Isabella Island. That's a small island. It has about 2,500 people living on it. And one of the nice aspects about this program is that you as a student are housed with local families. So you're experiencing the local culture at the same time taking courses that are part of your required courses for your degree. Depending on the semester that you go, these courses might include ecology, geology, conservation, political ecologies, oceans and climate. There'll always be a course having to do with ecology or evolution, be it spring or fall, and there'll always be a course having to do with geology, spring or fall. The other courses, it sort of depends on which faculty are there as to which courses you'll be taking. Part of this program also includes a community service component, and that's where you go out into the community and maybe bring a skill or volunteer somewhere, but give back to the community that you're living in. We also have what's known as saltwater semester, and these are, you can think of these as sort of study abroad at the Marine campus. This is our answer to alleviating some of the commuting back and forth between the Marine campus and the main campus. There is a shuttle that goes back and forth between the two campuses, but again, riding there and back eats up into time which you might need to take courses. So the saltwater semester, what we're doing this year actually is having blocks of courses taught with the idea that you go out in the morning and you spend the whole day at Erasmus, and then you could go back to the Coral Gables campus in the late afternoon. The Virginia Key campus does not have housing facilities, so all of the for anybody, for graduate or undergraduate, so everybody has to live. Nobody can live on Virginia Key, and everybody has to commute onto it. Depending on the semester, the courses vary for the saltwater semester, but these listed here: invertebrate zoology, tropical marine ecology, marine genomics, environmental physiology, oceans and human health. Those are courses that have been taught in saltwater semester. Up in the upper right, you can see this is Broad Key, this small island. There's a house on it that sleeps 20. For the undergraduate program, we typically have used this for sort of weekend courses, weekend trips, not full courses, but just a weekend trip. There's field facilities to do some field work. There's a basic laboratory under the housing where a little bit of wet lab work can be done. And it's, as I said, it's about 45-minute boat ride south of Virginia Key. So it's a fun place to go for a weekend. Okay, research. So I mentioned research in the beginning. If you were part of the open house before we broke out into breakout groups, you heard about a variety of the different research opportunities that are offered at Erasmus. And this slide just shows a bunch of different undergrads doing research. And to give you a better idea sort of what this research might look like, these are some recent honors, the titles of recent honors theses that have that our students have done. So you can see the first one looking at red tide blooms. So red tide blooms are a big problem in especially the Gulf Coast of Florida. Looking at genomics in populations, biochemistry and metabolism in populations. If you saw the wave tank, a bunch of our students use the wave tank for their research and looking at, say, air water interface, so how bubbles react, how sea spray reacts. Geology, looking at different cores, looking sort of at the history of the Earth through looking at cores, these cores from Japan. So there's just a huge variety of research that's ongoing. Research that you don't even you wouldn't even think of, but those opportunities are there. And again, it's a unique, that is a real benefit for our undergraduate students to get involved in research. Okay, so finally, a little bit beyond academics, beyond research. These are a listing of our student organizations that a lot of the marine science students are involved in. There's 200 plus student organizations across campus, so there is an organization for just about everything. But these are the ones that a lot of our students are involved in. Row is the Honors Society. This is GPA-based honors, and it's a good society to get involved in, at least in the beginning, to see what the opportunities are, meet upperclassmen, figure out what's going on. Scuba Club is the biggest club on campus, and a lot of our students belong to the Scuba Club. It has a dive, basically just about 2 dives every weekend. One dive that's more advanced, and one dive that's more introductory. Marine Mammal Rescue Team is what it sounds like. Students are trained in how to respond to strandings, and when a stranding occurs, then they respond. Propeller Club is joint between mostly marine affairs students and the business school, and that's looking at the port operations, the operations of the Port of Miami. Aquarium Club is just what it sounds like. It's for students who are interested in aquaria. They take care of aquaria across the campus, but they also go on a lot of trips, both national and international, visiting different aquaria. And then finally, we have student chapters for professional societies, both for meteorology, the American Meteorological Society student chapter, and similarly for the Geological Society, Sigma Gamma Epsilon Geological Society. So I think that is all for this presentation. Listed here are the different program directors. You heard from many of them with their contact information. This is on our website. Here's my information, and then of course the marine science contact is at the bottom, and that's always a good place to start. If you don't know who you should be talking to, you can write to Marseille and ask, and they will either answer your question directly or put you in contact with someone to address your question. So with that, I would like to open the floor for questions, and you can either unmute yourself and ask, or you can put a question on the group chat, and one of us will answer. Thank you for your time. Scuba Club does have an annual fee. I don't know what it was. I don't know what it is. Does anybody know what the Scuba Club cost is? It's not a huge amount, and the reason it's such a big club is, including a lot of people, faculty, staff, students from across the school, is that it's one of the cheaper places to get tank rentals. All right, the question is, can you go in multiple study abroads? Yes, you can. The most I've seen are 2 semesters abroad. And one of the things to consider that's one of the things that you should tell your advisor right away. I'm interested in studying abroad. And start thinking about how planning out your academic career to fit in the courses. So if you go to a study abroad where you study a lot of science courses, then that's easy to think of how it fits in with your degree requirements. but you also can go, you can go to Florence and study art history, and in that case, and still have it work. And so for that case, you might consider keeping your cognate courses, the 3 required courses for your, say, arts and humanities cognate. You might use those courses when you study abroad. Okay. Tony, are you still here? So sorry, so the question is, are there study abroad options that offer meteorology courses? I don't know if Mike can answer that. Tony had to teach a course.
Not that I know of, but many of the degree requirements for the, all the various flavors of the meteorology, degree options that are in place. A lot of that is just basic science and math. So I'm sure that, it would be possible to spend a semester abroad and design it in such a way that all the courses that a student took would count towards his or her degree, even without meteorology courses per se. I mean, just, filling the, satisfying breadth requirements and basic science requirements. So that's, I guess, a way around the question.
Okay. All right, thanks, Mike. Are there housing differences for Erasmus students at UM? No, there's not a separate dorm or floor for Erasmus students. You can, you can pair up with students before you come and request housing together. But there's not a separate floor for, I don't know how many floors that would be for Erasmus students. So freshman year, most of your classes will be on the Coral Gables campus. And you're taking the introductory courses, and those typically are not actually taught by the Marine School. You will take a introductory marine science course, so all incoming students in our program take that course, and that is taught on the Coral Gables campus, but the labs for that class are taught on the Marine campus. And the idea there is that we bring you out to the Virginia Key campus. We say, okay, here it is. It's not so far away. Please come back and please continue to come here. But again, because it does take, it can take significant time to travel back and forth between campuses. We typically have our faculty travel to the Coral Gables campus to teach, rather than students traveling to the Virginia Key campus for classes. Here's a question: can undergraduates participate in the research diving course? Yes, they can. That will be a conversation that you'll have with your advisor, and we would not advocate it, say, for your freshman year. It's more important for you to get through the required courses rather than the elective courses. And so that's typically what I advise students to do is get, take your required courses. And then as you are, sort of looking around, that's when you take electives and figure out what directions you're going. And research diving is a direction for some students, and it is offered for undergraduates. Okay, so the school does have job and research fairs for undergraduate students. They have a lot, actually, but a lot of them are not necessarily geared for the basic sciences. We actually had a marine school specific research job fair scheduled for, I think it was April. No, actually, it was after spring. It was March, which has been canceled. But yes, that is something that we are trying to build out. Just to give, there's, depending on what you major in, you're getting a major in. A lot of what we do is look at data and analyze data and communicate data, and that has a lot of job applications, not just in the marine sciences. So so don't limit yourself to thinking that you need a marine science job. That might be what you want, which is fine, but keep your eyes open. Okay, so who would be the best person to talk to discuss different majors? So I would perhaps go look at the list of program directors and which majors you're considering, and talk to program directors in those different majors. As Maria said, it's your first semester. It's not critical that you are know exactly what you want to do. The courses that you'll be taking will be relevant to all of the majors. Okay, how early can you start research? I advise freshmen who want to start research to have a semester under their belt before they start research. And that is just so you see, you get used to, you adjust to college life, you see what your workload is, and you figure out how much time you actually can devote to research. So you might find that you have a lot of time, or you might find that you're really, really busy. It's easy to get way too busy right away, and that's something that you don't want to do. It's important to you're here to succeed academically, and that's what we want you to do. And when you have that going, then yes, get involved in research. So my advice would be to wait for a semester and see how much time you have, and if you have the time and the desire, then get involved. Does anybody else want to add to that?
No, I agree. And you also, I mean, if you get started in your sophomore year, that gives you, plenty of time. So, you shouldn't feel pressured to start before you think you're ready either.
I think the only thing I would add is that, faculty are fairly flexible on how much time you need to commit to doing research. So whether it's, you want to do 10 hours a week of research or 20 hours or whatever it may be, but I think, the important thing is to be sort of honest with how much time you can commit to it, and then try to keep up with that. So if you want to do 5 or 10 hours a week and you can do that consistently, that's a good experience. But know what you can commit to.
I think if I can jump in, first year, freshman year, really take into consideration, adapting to life outside your state or your home, taking care of yourself and making sure that you'll be able to allocate your time to your studies priorities. And it's also time to network with people. Especially, that's the time for you to know what you really want to do, see what type of research is available. And again, as Marty said, most important is how much time you can actually have to do some research.
Do you have any more questions? So when would you start the courses at the Marine campus? There are courses that are that you can take actually right away at the Marine campus, but again, I would say that and those are elective courses. I would say that it's more important to get your sort of required courses, get a good momentum going on your required courses. In terms of, say, the saltwater semester, we have had sophomores taking saltwater semester. That's the earliest we've had students taking the saltwater semester, and those sophomores who have taken it have typically come in with a fair number of AP credits, so that they got a jump start. They fulfilled a lot of their base introductory science requirements already.
I'd also like to point out that some of the labs in a required course that all marine science students take in their very first semester, this is the laboratory course that goes with the course entitled Introduction to Marine Science, but some of those labs are intentionally scheduled on the Rasmus campus, and that is, intentionally to bring all of the undergraduate students out, albeit only briefly, just to get to see what life is like at Rasmus, to give them a little taste for what goes on at Rasmus, see people they wouldn't otherwise see, including faculty members.
Okay, so freshmen register for classes over the summer, and actually we work closely with incoming students to register you for the correct courses. One thing that based on your high school, the courses that you've taken in high school, i.e. AP courses and sort of your SAT scores, it's fairly easy to put you in the correct courses. We won't always have your AP scores, and so what we'll do is ask you, give us your best guess as to what you'll get on your AP test, and we'll put you in the appropriate course then. We can always move you around if necessary later on. So we will, the freshmen register actually after everybody else registers, after the current students register, and they are in the process of doing that right now. There's information on our website about registering for classes as well.
I'm not sure if everybody's aware that that students, that is, are required to meet with their advisors at least twice a year. That is, before they register for classes for the following semester, both spring and fall, and that actually includes the very first semester. So you will be meeting with your advisor even before the fall semester starts. As Professor Alexiak just pointed out, often for incoming freshmen, the sort of academic program is pretty much laid out. In spite of that, it is useful both for you and for us that we meet, get to know each other, kind of, understand what your career objectives are and so on, so that we can start working with you. So we actually put a lot of time and effort into advising students. In fact, I think it's fair to say we do a much better job than most other, schools, colleges at and also much better job than most other universities do. So we devote a lot of time and effort to that.
Okay. If there are no more questions, I'd like to thank you for your attention, and well, we're hoping to see you actually in the fall, and actually get to see you. But do feel free to reach out to any of us with questions that you might think of, or that questions you just don't want to talk about right now. But yeah, I wish you the best for the rest of your spring and summer, and wherever you do end up going to university. It's a pretty exciting time, and thank you.
Agreed. Thank you. So we hope to see you in the fall.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.